Hi guys, and welcome back to the channel. Firstly, I've got to apologise for taking so long to make this video. We've been so rushed at university in trying to get this project in. If you follow my channel, you'll know that I quit my job and basically took on enrolled on a 3-year full-time course at university in clock and watchmaking. And you've seen the first couple of videos where I was making the cube and so forth. But since then, we had to make what's called the mini clock plates. Now, these are only very small, 2 plates with 4 pillars holding them together, an arbor and a bridge. Now, everything we had to do ourselves. We did have use of a lathe, pillar drill and so forth, but it was basically getting you used to turning screws on a lathe, bluing, soldering, brazing, tempering, everything. It really was quite an ordeal, really. And it did challenge a lot of us, to be fair. It was quite good. But again, you're trying to look at an accuracy of 0.1 of a millimetre, ideally, to get it right there. And it was a really interesting project. At the minute, we've handed it in. We're still waiting for our marks to come back off that. And then it's going to be put to one side until the next semester, where we're going to actually then cut the gears, make the escapement, everything else for that particular clock. And it's been super interesting. Learned so much on the way. But unfortunately, it's not just the practical work you have to do. There obviously has to be a written journal to go along with this, several thousand words long. We also had in between other things, operations of lathes and stuff like that. And when I mean lathes, I don't always mean sort of like using the cross slides and things like that. I mean you're actually using hand gravers and turning brass and steel by hand, just with as you would with wood turning. And it's been super interesting. But we've also had to do a big essay on how basically by use of horology back in the 17th century, they learnt how to navigate the seas and things like that. We've been to trips to London as well, which have been super interesting. It has been really, really impressive. And plus we've got to meet some great people there as well. And it is super interesting because we also look at the second years to see what they're doing in the third years. So you kind of get an idea of what's coming up. So when I go back, the next lot is all watch and clock servicing. So that I'm super interesting because obviously, I already do bits like that. So I'm hoping that, I can hit the ground running on that one. At least that's my plan anyway. But it's really the techniques we've been learning to do. It's like this week, we've basically, because we handed in our project the week before, we've had this week kind of free. So that's why I've been able to catch up on a load of YouTube videos like this. But also the start of the week, I put some of my skills to the test and made one of these. Now you may be thinking, what the heck is that? Well, it's basically a screw head polisher. Now by using a simple pin vise here, I just thought, how can I utilize this and turn it into a screw head for polishing screw heads? Because when you're bluing screws, you want them to be as polished as possible. So I just simply turned up a piece of brass, drilled a hole through it, and then folded it through, left the bottom here a little bit proud so it won't fall all the way through, screwed it all in position, and these are silly things, like you have to learn how to make something, screws. So I made this screw, then drilled through it and hammered through a piece of steel, so I've actually got a little T-bar on it. But these are all kind of skills you have to learn if you're going to be able to especially repair things like clocks, because not everyone always thinks of clocks when they think of, kind of horology. Everyone always thinks of wristwatches, but all these stately homes normally have a clock in every room and they've all got to be worked on. Well, obviously some of these are hundreds of years old. So you've got to learn how to repivot things, rebush, all these kind of things. And these are things which we're actually being taught. We do have kind of books we not have to read, but help. But also there are certain tools you're going to require. Now, unfortunately, because I'm here, I do a lot of stuff also here already. I have to have two lots of tools. So I've got my basic screwdrivers, these dispersion ones here, basic oilers. That's not so basic, but I've even got a microscope here, which comes across, which is super handy, I find, for servicing. But I also need a set of tools also at university. So I've got two sets of tweezers, two sets of screwdrivers, all that kind of stuff. But it is super interesting. You're learning so much. And plus as well, you've got people around you. Like even in my year, you've got a couple of guys who, there's one guy particularly who's really into his pocket watches, fusées, things like that. You've got another guy who's very knowledgeable on clocks. And so you can't help but you learn off these people as well. So your knowledge, you help them out, they help you out. And it's been super, super interesting. So far, I'm really, really enjoying it. And I say when we go back next week, it's clock and watch servicing, which I say I'm really looking forward to. So anyway, any questions, leave them in the comments. As you know, I always try and get back to the comments. And I'll leave you guys to it. So all the best. You take care. Stay safe. Bye.